Hello, friends. We are going to finish up our masks in this week in case you missed it. So last week we glued the rest of our facial features onto our mask, our Cantrell masks. And then this week we are going to do our collagraphs, which are crayon rubbings. And we're going to make two of them, one of which will have a Sharpie outline, and then we are going to add color to our mask. So let's get started with the collagraphs first, because those are really fun, and we want to do those before we add color to our mask. So one trick I have for these is to tape them onto the paper, because when we do a collagraph, we're going to have the mask facing the paper, and then we're going to rub a crayon, and everywhere that these masks are raised up, we will pick up that edge on the paper. So we don't want the mask to slip at all. So one hack that we have is to add a piece of tape to the top and a piece of tape to the bottom. Now this just helps keep that paper in place so that it doesn't slip. Now when you are working on coloring your collagraph, you have the couple of choices. You can peel your crayons and use the side. And if you use the side, you're going to want to work in multiple directions to make sure that you get all of those edges. And we still want to hold our hand flat on the paper to make sure that our paper doesn't slip at all. So we're just going to go over all of the edges, and then we'll get the inside as well. Once we have the edges defined, it's a lot easier to get the middle. And then we can go in here and get that middle. Now, if you don't feel like peeling your crayons, that works too. We can go ahead and tape our mask onto our paper, and we can use the tip of our crayon. So when we are using the tip of our crayon, we are working in one direction. So I'm working on this diagonal. And again, I want to find those borders first because we want to know where the edges are. It helps when we know where to start and where to stop. Okay, I'm going to turn it. I hold my paper down when I turn it. And again, I'm still working on that exact same angle. So I'm still going on this diagonal across my page. And I'm finding that edge. If your features, your face and the eyes, nose, mouth aren't showing, that means you're probably not pressing hard enough. So we want to make sure you give it a little bit of a push to get all of those nice edges through. Okay. Now, for the collagraphs, we're using two colors. So we're going to turn our mask 90 degrees to the side, and we're going to do it again. But this time, our diagonal is going to crisscross it. This is called cross-hatching, and it allows us to catch any edges that we might have missed the first time and fill in all of the white spaces that we missed the first time. And this time, it's a lot easier because we already know where the borders are. But you can see how much more defined the eyes already are. We'll come in here in the middle. When we're picking our colors for our collagraphs, I like to pick colors next to each other on the color wheel or on the rainbow. As we know, the color wheel is just a rainbow in a circle. I'm going to turn my page again, flip it over. Because they tend to work really well together when you're using colors next to each other on the color wheel. You can experiment with colors. You can make as many of these collagraphs as you want. I am only asking you to turn in two. Okay, so once we get this first one done, I could make a second one, and you're going to gently peel it off. You don't want to rip your paper nor the mask with the tape. Okay, so I would make I have one collagraph here. I have half of one here because I only used one color, so I would need to redo that. Now, once we get two collagraphs done, we are going to grab our Sharpie and outline all of these spaces so we can see all of our shapes, and we are going to outline those just on one copy, not on all of them. So when we finished today, we ended up with 3 awesome pieces of art, which was really exciting because you guys worked so hard on this for so many weeks, and this week is the week that we get our big payoff. So I'm really proud of your work ethic and how you stuck with it, your resilience. You really just did such a fantastic job. I couldn't be more proud of how hard you worked. Okay, so you're going to come around, make sure you get the outline of the head done. As you can see, the Sharpie has no problem going over that crayon. I have done several of these today, and my Sharpie is still in really good shape. Okay. Now, if you remember, Cantrell, he had in his examples some really cool textures, and you are welcome to add those as well. He scratched them in his pottery, but because we're using cardboard, we don't have that option. So we can go in and do that with our Sharpie if we want. If I wanted to add some texture, I could add some of those lines like he had on his. Okay. And then when you're done, you're going to take a picture of it. You can either lay all 3 pieces out. So I could lay out my collograph that's plain, my collograph that's out. So this is red and pink, and then this is blue and green. And then my mask, which is fully colored. This is the last step. When you're done, you're going to grab your mask and you're going to color it in. Now you can use marker, but I don't recommend it because number 1, markers fade. And number 2, the cardboard acts like a sponge and it soaks up all of the ink from your markers. So it will make your markers dry out faster than you want. So I usually recommend using crayons. This is what I did with crayon, and it's fun because you finally get to use those white crayons that have been hanging out in the crayon box lonely with nothing to do. Now they get to come out and color whatever you want to make white. It could be the eyes, it could be the hair, it could be the ears. It's up to you because you are the artist. So once everything is done, collograph with the outline, your mask has full color. Take a picture of it and submit it in Schoology, week 26, Kimmy Cantrell, part 5. There's a folder that says enter, and then there's a link. Now you can turn in the photo, or you can click that little microphone on your submit options, and you can submit a video where you hold up each one. The stone, this is my mask, this is my collograph, this is my collograph with Sharpie, and that would be fine. I just want to see all of the pieces and see how they came out. So I hope that you guys had fun on this project. This was a really big one, and you worked fantastically. I mean, such hard workers with such a great result. So have fun finishing these up, and I cannot wait to see them.